Think we are going live. So, back by popular demand, got my tarot cards with me. So, if you have any questions or things you want to know, or any situations you have any concerns about, put your questions into the chat and I'll get to as many as I possibly can. Um, what I'm using tonight is my Light Seers tarot. So, I do have my traditional Rider Waite tarot and things like that I actually often use. I love my borderless one. I do love upside down. I love borderless tarot. But for tonight, for these readings, I'm using the Light Seers tarot, which I love the imagery on it, the colors. I've been using them for my life path readings, which I think kind of softens some of that energy, things that are going on for heavy, deep conversations. I would say deep conversations. So if you are joining and you have questions for the tarot cards, just put them into the chat and we can get to them as we go along. And I'll give you some kind of examples of some of the things we could do, just see what kind of energy we have out there right now. All right. We have the Six of Wands. So we have success. This is really six in numerology is about achieving balance. So this is achieving balance by going after your creative things. Since the wands are really about your fire energy or what gets you going or wakes you up in the morning. And so this is really about how you can achieve success or achieving your goals. However, nothing's ever super easy. Three of Swords says we've got some conflicts or challenges or betrayal or things like that could be going on behind the scenes that we need to address with. And then here's a very positive card also mirroring this balance. We have the Six of Pentacles. So the Six of Pentacles is really all about, again, achieving balance by giving of some of your resources, things on the physical plane. That is, things you could give to others, your time, your money, and stuff like that, in order to achieve that positive karmic cycle that it really realizes the six in numerology. As people join, if you have questions for the tarot cards, just plop them in the chat. We're just doing overall energy readings right now. See what's coming to us, and we're just wrapping up with the Six of Pentacles to kind of achieve that balance. But why I'm using the Light Seers deck tonight. And so we'll see here. We have Temperance, we have the Hanged Man, and we have the Ace of Wands as well too. So with Temperance, this is one of my favorite cards. So this is kind of the ability. I'm a two numerology, so that's maybe why I resonate with this, because this is really the best representation in the tarot of two in numerology, because this is kind of the mediator, the go-between, conflict avoiders, people who just can't leave things unresolved. And so that's why Temperance kind of really brings, and I think it is something we're struggle with, the ability to see both sides of a situation and then figure out where the common ground is in order to find the right path forward. I do love the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man, what this generally says is, a lot of times I always view as you've got things on the earthly plane, you've got things on the spiritual plane, right? So generally, as you go on your journey to try to escape from the earthly plane to get to what your soul was meant to do in this lifetime on the spiritual plane, sometimes that means you have to go against the grain and kind of do things differently than either how you were brought up or how you were raised. And that's what this Hangman is kind of acknowledging. It almost feels like you are caught between two worlds. And usually that is kind of the earthly world that you were raised in, or the people around you, or what they believe, versus once you start to go on your spiritual journey and awaken your soul, you kind of feel pulled in a different direction. And that can make you feel like, again, you're going against the grain of what other people want to do. But the good news about this is usually it means you are connecting with your higher self, and kind of that's why it's a major arcana card and coming to you. Some of the traditional imagery in the regular Rider-Waite for this is actually that someone would be dressed in a military uniform, and this is how they would kind of string them up if you were to abandon the military and so forth. And some other decks have some of that more traditional, military, Italian military uniforms, stuff like that you'll see of it. I love this imagery with the kind of the colors, and it really, as the Hanged Man, it's really the Hanged Woman, which I love. So this energy is really all about acknowledging that you're going to feel, a lot of times when you go on your spiritual journey, people think it might be an amazing awakening, but you're actually going to feel kind of caught or torn between two worlds. And it's going to be a challenge for you to try to manage that. So you're going to feel pulled in different directions for a little while. And then again, if you have any questions, ask your questions in the chat and we can get to yours if you have any pressing issues or needs or anything you're concerned about going on in your lives. The Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands. Wands deal with your fire sign energy. So this is things that really resonate with you or keep you well, not keep you up at night, but things that'll wake you up in the morning. So obviously, I'm not a morning person, so I love to hit the snooze bar. But this is like, what is it that motivates you, that you are passionate about, that'll get you out of bed and get you going to start your day and accomplish your goals? And that's why this is associated with career or hobbies, creative arts, things you might be doing, because this is like that fire sign energy that really you resonate with, that kind of gets you going. And that either you have to find a calling or a passion. Sometimes I see in readings, if people have some blockages or things like that, it's because they're not connected with their fire sign energy or their passion or anything like that. So we'll continue on using the Light Seers deck, which is still a new deck for me, so the shuffling is actually, it's a little stiffer versus my broken index because I just got it around the holidays. And let's see what else we have cooking up here. We have the Two of Wands. This is one of my favorite cards as well too. What the Two of Wands really says is that what's interesting in the original Rider-Waite deck is the Two of Wands does acknowledge that a decision needs to be made. And so usually there is, someone holding two options and you can see them choosing one. But I always tell people the hint of what you should do and how you should follow really your soul. You can see here, it's not just an even choice. It doesn't leave it open saying, oh, there's a choice that needs to be made. It's showing you the choice you really should make. And so in the traditional Rider-Waite one, I believe the one that is selected is over the water. It says you should follow your emotions and trust your gut, versus the other one that goes over the land, which is like the practical decision. That's why I think one of my later in life mantras is, the practical decision is not always the best decision, even though I think in our younger years, we're willing to sacrifice, our true passion or emotions or our gut we think is right for we think is practical and get the practical job, do all that kind of stuff. I've started in my later years to feel like that is not the right way. That's the easy way out and makes us less worried about things, but that is not the practical solution. And again, if you have any questions you want to pop in the chat, we'll get to as many as we can based on time allows. My kids are currently sleeping upstairs, so I got some time to do some readings for people. The next card we have here, so this is the Five of Wands. So the Five of Wands, so five in numerology, when you see the five in numerology, it says that you need to make some kind of change on the numerology of each of the tarot decks, going from each of the suits from 1 to 10. Five is like the midpoint. So it's almost like the practice test or the stress test. So, in the hero's journey, like Star Wars, this is, there isn't just one big battle at the end where he meets Darth Vader. They actually meet and have a lightsaber duel pretty early on where he realizes he might be overmatched and have to get himself out of jam. That's what this is, almost like the first kind of pressure test for you that informs you on where you need to grow for the back half of your numerology so you can get all the way where you're meant to be. So the Five of Wands is really saying, when I see this in career readings or things like that, this would say, how do you stand out from the crowd? Because it's a very competitive environment. The Five of Wands says there's lots of competition around you. And so the secret is, obviously, you can see him climbing on top of everybody else's wands and each other to kind of reach the fire, which would be the goal. The main message of this card is, how can you change what you were doing in order to stand out from the crowd, in order to accomplish your goals? Because if you keep going about it the way everyone else is, or the way you have been doing, or the way you think it should be done, you're not going to accomplish your goals because you're just going to get lost and with all the people and not really accomplish the goals that you want. So let's see what other energies. The wheel. I do love the Wheel of Fortune. So in this one, the wheel, it's interesting. It does link a lot of things with like destiny, the ups and downs of life, the cycles and rhythms of life, and so forth. But I also see this a lot of times in relationship readings, where what the wheel comes in is, if you are in a relationship, and I get readings like this all the time, and you are probably the one who got broken up with, you're probably going to get like the death card. The death card will show up and says, usually that's the relationship was taken away from you, right? That's an ending where you weren't really the willing participant. So either, surprised you, or, you were the one broken up with. I view the Wheel of fortune, and then some relationship readings almost the exact opposite. And in that case becomes, you know, the relationship is not working for you, and you might be the person to not, end it. It's almost you that the acknowledgement before you end it that you are willing to rather take a roll of the dice or a spin of the wheel and see what fate or destiny has for you out there versus continue on in a relationship that no longer works for you. So that's kind of how I see the difference between, the Wheel of Fortune and the Death card and some relationship readings. So now, when you get to like if you have questions, you want to ask your question in the chat, and I can get to as many readings as anybody wants. So if you have a question or topic you'd like a quick 3 card reading on, or card pulls for you, just put those in the chat, and we can get to those. So next here is the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is really all about obviously getting in touch with your emotions. So cups being the water sign energy, you can see lots of blue here and lots of water signify it's really relating to your emotions. But on the order of, the court cards from the page to the knight to the queen to the king, especially in your emotions, the pages really end up being the fertile environment. Okay, the environment's right to get in touch with your emotions. Knights are you got some inklings of how you feel about a situation. The queens, I call it like a level of maturity. The queens are you've gone through that and you've had enough time. You've sat with your emotions and you kind of fully understand them internally. You just haven't taken any action on them. And then the king becomes the highest level of that, which is not only do you know what you want, you are ready to take action on to kind of bring it out rather than instead of keeping it all internal, you're willing to kind of, bring it out and take action upon it. So in this case would be if there's a decision to be made on a relationship or on a move or on a job, whatever the case or the topic of the reading might be. The King of Cups says, like emotionally on the inside, you know what you want to do, and now it's time to take action to bring it to fruition because, almost in the analysis paralysis stage of this, where and you've already decided what you want to do and you're very confident and you spend enough time on it, it's not the time to second guess or question or kind of keep yourself in the just so here's the next one, so in the decision kind of space. So if it's the Knight of Cups, which is kind of 2 levels down, so the Knight of Cups especially is that people ask me questions about relationships or dating. So if someone asks me a relationship or dating question, oops, where's my King of Cups that I just had? If someone asks me a relationship or dating question and both of these cards pop up, that's when I'll know based on the cards that are going around. The King of Cups would be, since it's more mature, someone you have more, time with. This would be, the current significant other, whether that's boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever the case may be, and whatever conflict those cards around it will kind of tell you the drama. Whereas the Knight of Cups might be other suitors or the people. It's a less mature energy. That doesn't mean true immaturity, but it means you're just not as advanced on the path. So this could be either other people you just met that you might be interested in, or this could be someone you may have known for a long time, but it's kind of like in the friend zone or on the friend plane who's interested now versus someone who you've been in a relationship with. That kind of creates the dynamic of the energies between them that kind of talks about how understanding the hierarchy of the tarot and how things work, the energies that you can put together between them. So if you have any questions or you want to, put through, you can send them through and I can answer them as we get going, whatever time we have left. Next card we have here. So this is the World. One thing I love about the World is I view it as the 12th house in astrology because the World is really more of, you know, once you figure out what you are meant to do and you have your life purpose and your life plan in this lifetime and you want to do it, the World is really the 12th house in astrology energy. That's the way I view it, is what are you willing to sacrifice of yourself or only have so many limited resources, so much time, so much money, so much ability to contribute to the causes that are important to us. So it's like, what are you willing to sacrifice of the resources that you have in order to advance the causes that you want or the goals that you want? And that's what kind of like the 12th house in astrology is really the house of sacrifice. So that's really more about how do you, you know, uh, use that time in order to leave a legacy. Because obviously, if you believe the 12th house is kind of the endings and beginnings, a lot of Scorpio energy, of which I'm a Scorpio Pluto energy. So I enjoy that kind of stuff. It's like, what are you going to leave behind that's going to outlive you, and how far are you willing to go, work, or sacrifice in order to deliver that? All right, so we just have a few minutes left. So if there's a last call for readings, cards, questions, if anybody wants any questions, comments, or if there's any cards that are tricky for them, put them in the chat, and we can get to those quickly as we can. Otherwise, we'll kind of wrap up and end it, and everyone can have a great night, and we'll try again another night.